All right, now we are back here in Colorado.
What's the date today?
It's May 17, 2026.
Wow. So 2025 was a very long year and we're already getting halfway through 2026. Where's the time go? That's my question.
So, with our big project last year, and then we finished our house in Palawan, February 2026, we finished it, finally finished. But even though there's some little, kind of like fixing stuff and all of that stuff, but yeah, we end up finishing it in February 2026.
Basically at the end. It was actually right on time. Isn't that amazing? And I credit this young lady here for pushing that project through. The true project manager of the project was my wife here, who pushed everything through to be on time. If it wasn't for your efforts, I'm pretty sure it would have dragged out if we'd have just said, hey, when are people getting the things that they're supposed to get from the hardware store? We'd be waiting around for a long time.
It won't probably finish until like 6 months from now, right?
Right.
So, yep.
We made it.
We made it.
Look, we're relatively unscathed.
And by the way, can you tell our both shirts?
We're branded.
It's branded for Ocean Dream Villa Palawan. So, we are live on Airbnb.
Yeah. So, we are there frequently throughout the year, but in the time that we're not there, or the time that the villa has space, we rent the entire villa, and it's live on Airbnb. And as you said, there's a link down below, right, to if you want to visit the actual listing.
You can check that out down below, and then we'll put the link down.
And then there's a video walkthrough. If you look on the other videos on our channel, you can see the video walkthrough of the finished product, the hard-won finished product. And we just wanted to say that the reason that we built the villa, so the very beginning of this was that if you look around Puerto Princesa, a lot of the villas can be like $300 a night, something like that, with a whole family. So if you have a big family, like 8 people or 10 people, we were finding that there was a gap to fill, and the things that we filled with our villa were having a full kitchen, like a kitchen that was full of things to cook with, like a lot of pans, a lot of dinnerware and utensils and everything. So we really try to do our best to make all that stuff available for the guests. Satellite internet. So rather than using the local internet, which can go in and out, I never quite knew what was going on with the internet. I would be like, is this me? Is it the internet? What's going on? So we got the satellite Starlink internet, which I know is getting to be more popular in Palawan. The water source, we like our water source because it's city water, and then we filter it when it enters the house, so at our source. And then we have another thing that we didn't find, which was basically unlimited reverse osmosis filtered drinking water. This is what you would normally get at the water store.
Yeah,
right?
station.
The water station. And then you can get it out of a little tap or get it out of the refrigerator, and not this big like gasoline looking can that has to sit in your kitchen the whole time. So not really what I was thinking of for appetizing, like, let me get a fresh drink of water out of this, like what looks to be like a can like that. So we have like water there it goes into the refrigerator, into the water dispenser. Washer and dryer free. So we've hardly ever found a dryer in Palawan.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I've been staying in an Airbnb in Palawan. I cannot find any like dryer in their units.
If you're lucky, they give you a washer. That's if you're lucky. And then if they don't give you a washer, you got to go down to the shop. And then how many kilos? They go by the kilo, right?
Yeah, it's per kilo basically they charge.
But the benefit is people get to look at all your underwear. So that's one benefit. They have an underwear inspection.
Yes. Your private thing, your private stuff, whatever.
So yeah, I never felt great about that either. But anyway, washer and dryer. We got one of those wash towers. I don't know if you see them around in SM or whatever over there, but it's a dryer on the top and a washer on the bottom. Super convenient. A large swimming pool. So we love to have a big swimming pool and a heated jacuzzi. A view. So I don't think very few of our
in Palawan.
In Palawan, well, at least in Puerto Princesa. we didn't have many great views in the larger places that we stayed with the whole family. So we try to fix that with a overlooking view right over Honda Bay. So if you know the area, Cowrie Island and all these islands in Honda Bay that you go island hopping on, they're literally right there out in the bay.
And guess what? We are only 5 minutes away from our villa to the wharf?
The wharf, the Honda Bay wharf, where all the boats leave from. So you could like skateboard right down the hill.
5 minutes away.
And jump onto the boat. No, we don't recommend that. So anyway, and then we have we saw the flat top of the roof and we said, hey, let's make a rooftop lounge. There's a rooftop lounge. We have a little sala on one side and we have a high top table.
It's like a bar, counter, bar, chair, and table.
Yeah, so you can see the view. We have a car there that the guests can rent to pick up and drop off at the airport or get around town. So we rent that with a driver so that you don't have to take tricycles back and forth. And
that way you feel safe,
and you feel
especially
safe.
when you are a first, tourist in Palawan.
Right. And if you don't want to admire
if you don't know anything about Palawan.
Right, and if you don't want to sit in the back of Puerto Princesa traffic with like a piece of rebar next to your head, wondering what would happen in an accident. So that was another thing we didn't like, taking tricycles everywhere.
Yep.
And then solar power primary, so no brownouts typically because we're solar power primary, and then now we're, as we'll tell you in a moment, installing the local utility to charge batteries in the case that there's too many, like 4 or 5 rainy days in a row, we don't get a charge.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's what our setup is. And then for pricing, we're pretty unique in Puerto as well, right?
Yes.
So normally we'd look at these, we'd come in, with our big family, like, 10 people here. You have one large property, but then you also pay, like I said, several $100s, typically over $275 a night or something.
Yes.
And then so we were like, well, why won't they? If we have only 4 people, how come they?
Or a couple.
Why can't we rent? It's always the same price. It's always $300 a night. And so we thought, when we do our place, we're going to solve that problem by allowing the whole villa, even for a couple. So it's actually
very, very affordable.
Yeah, it's a ton of value if you're a couple. But we just really wanted to have people enjoy the entire villa from the rooftop deck all the way down to the pool and jacuzzi as even a couple for a reduced price. Or if you have a lot of people, it kind of gets back up to that big price that we were talking about. So we did that, and you have that private experience, which we know people would want. We never thought of renting a house where you have different people in different rooms, like room by room rental.
Yeah.
We don't do that. It's always exclusive, whether it's 2 people or whether it's 8 people. So yeah, we thought that was the solution to our issues when we were visiting Palawan, and hopefully it looks like we've solved those. We feel pretty comfortable having solved those for ourselves.
I think so. And the good thing is you can book through us.
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah. So that's why we did this entire project. We'll let you know we're online in case you're in the area or whatever, you want to pop by and have a stay at the villa. You're certainly welcome to book through Airbnb. And now, because this is the final, so we gave a kind of a final part 1 last time we were making a video, and we thought, what are the most important things that we learned during the entire time? I think we kind of boil it down to just a few points. The first one is estimation. So we got through design. We designed for a whole year. So after all that work, we got this beautiful design of the villa that you can see in the walkthrough. And then we knew what the price for new construction. They have like a typical cost per square meter for new construction. And it changes year to year, right? And so they have like a luxury cost, and then a mid-range cost, and then a super, super basic budget cost. So our luxury costs, we were getting assurances from our team, the design team. They're like, oh no, that's for some reason they were putting us off don't worry about the cost. I'm sure we can manage the cost during construction. Is kind of the message we got from the professionals with our design team. And so we were like, if you go by cost per square meter for high end, which is what we wanted to do, it was basically over budget. Well, that number that you get for cost per square meter was very, very accurate for us. So if anyone tells you anything different, and you find out from maybe multiple sources what cost per square meter for new construction in your area is, and then just calculate it out, and that's literally what you're going to pay, if not slightly more. We were lulled into, just by people telling us, I don't know how they were making their calculations, but it wasn't that. So we ended up blowing the budget because of that reason. It's a beautiful villa, I must admit.
It's a beautiful villa.
but it was like a little more
that
than
we could have
had.
dream of.
Yeah, so we got our dream property that we even didn't dream of. We got more than we dreamed of. So obey those cost per square meter for whatever level you're going to be at. We were never at the low level. We knew if we were going to, this is, partially for us and partially for our guests, but we wanted to be happy when we were there. So we were going by like relatively American standards, higher level tiles. So we were just going for like higher level porcelain tiles and
fixtures.
The fixtures we were higher level and that kind of thing. But find your level wherever you're happy, and then just cost per square meter, and then stick with that. Then there's going to be overages, and everybody talks about how all these construction projects that you hear in the headlines, they're all over budget. I think that we stuck pretty close, but still we were like budget like 15%. Even for things that you don't know. So there's some things that there's a bunch of rework that we'll explain in a moment, how people do rework and they don't do it the first way, and then you have to do it again. But then there's also just things that you didn't know. So we're on sloping terrain. And so when the engineer was in the project, aside from all the engineering calculations, he just said, hey, we think we should go X meters deep into the earth. And it was more or thicker or something than we had intended. But we thought, if we're going to err on the side of, protecting the house from like landslides or something, let's just put the money there to make sure everything stays where it's at instead of down at the wharf in Honda Bay.
Exactly.
So there are things that you don't know that you will possibly want to upgrade, like something you're not available, and you're going to say, okay, there's only the more expensive one, let's go for that, and that kind of a thing. So assume that, and then assume errors in judgment. Like if you have a project manager who doesn't really project manage, like this lady here ended up managing the project and was the reason, as we mentioned before, that the project got done on time. But if you have people that you hire, they're not really doing it. I mean, you might kick them off the project, but it's so deep into everything that sometimes it's not really practical to kick all these people off the project. But you're going to assume maybe some errors, and then you're going to pay somebody for something that you feel like you didn't get your quality out of it, or we had a contractor who just like disappeared, without final delivery for whatever reason. So there are some things that you will have errors. So in my mind, I just kind of like forgive myself, because you kind of beat yourself up about like, why did I do this? But assume you're going to basically waste money, like a wasted money tax is the way I felt about it.
Yeah. So if you want to hire me, we'll think about it.
So
I would certainly think about it.
Oh my gosh. And you definitely, and that kind of feeds into our next item, which is the quality control. So we found that while we had an engineer, and we had a what do you call them? The foreman, right?
Foreman.
And we had a project manager. When you go and you walk around the property during construction, they're not like doing things, making sure that things are level and plumb and all that kind of thing, or they're making sure that the work is done actually properly. We felt like we were primary, and Aini was primarily on quality assurance.
Yep.
So that leads into the other thing, which is being on site, which we talked to you so much about, that I would have no idea what would happen if we were not on site. It would be like all tilted, like one of those crazy houses, like a crazy fun house, but not much fun. Yeah,
it will be a nightmare when they finish the house. I'm pretty sure, 100% sure about that.
And if you're okay with we kind of pride ourselves on having a higher quality thing. So we're like, okay, we're not going to accept the lower quality. So we had to ensure our own quality. And all of the team members we mentioned before, the supervisor level and the individual team members, for some reason, they don't seem to get the connection between, if I screw this up in the last 80%, like I do all this work and then the concrete's not level or something, they're cool with that. And they could repeat that like 3 times, unless you're like literally standing over them. So in January, at the very end of the project, I would like literally pull up a chair and sit behind certain people and just be like, wait, stop. This is going to be a level check right now. And I would physically go in and level it and then say, okay, proceed.
Example of our plumber.
There's the plumber, and then there's we have like floating shelves in the kitchen that you'll see. I swear they did the first 2 when I was sitting there, and I had to go like take care of something else and come back, and the last one's tilted. I'm like, can I not leave you people alone for a minute? So that's the level of involvement of quality assurance if you're going for that kind of quality, which we were.
Yeah.
You're literally sitting there, and I don't know how you would find
babysitting.
Yeah,
Babysitting
we call
them.
it kind of like babysitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Babysitting them 100%. That will be the best word for them.
And I don't want to malign or speak against their professionalism, because I could not build a house with plumbing all over the place and everything what they're doing, right? There's certain things that I don't know, but I do know how to make things level. It's like a horse sense. Yes, Is it level or not? So yeah, I kind of still give respect to them, but really it's like 85 maximum professionalism, but never ever 100%. So be aware of that. And then the last thing was the solar. We maxed out our solar. So we have friends who they don't really have a ton of air conditioning. They really don't have like a multi-level building or whatever. They're just like, they just have like a small solar. When they run low on their battery, they just, I don't know, turn the lights off or whatever. They don't use a lot of air conditioning. Because we have guests staying or whatever, you never know when people are going to want to be cooler or whatever. So we just maxed out the solar. So just to give you the stats on it, we had 57 550 watt panels, okay, spread out over every flat surface we could find on the roofs. And then we have 3 12 kilowatt inverters, okay? And then the last part is we have 6 batteries. We started out with 4, and that was not quite enough even in the boundary, like rainy to sunny seasons. We were still finding that the power was running a bit low, so 6 big batteries. So this is full off-grid operation in the dry season. And as problems happen with the supply chain for the power companies like oil or coal or whatever they're burning over there to make energy, we are totally independent. No brownouts, you know, and it's okay in the rain. In the sunny season, we are 100% okay. We never get anywhere near 10%. Yeah. But in the rainy season, what we experienced was with the 4 batteries, if you go like 4 days of rain and then 1 day of cloudy, your production is so low that if you're kind of eating up the power and kind of being casual about eating up the power, then you could actually have like your own local brownout, your own brownout. So to remedy that, you don't know how many rainy days you're going to get, right, in a row. So we're just going to get the local utility to hook up so that we have an automatic power transfer to the local utility. As soon as we go below a certain percent, it's going to flip over to the local utility, which is going to run the house and charge the batteries for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, whatever, and then go back to the solar system. So we're only using the utility as a backup to prevent our own like kind of solar brownout in rare cases.
Yep.
And what's the last
thing is home insurance.
Homeowners insurance. I don't think it's very common to get in the Philippines.
Especially, Philippines.
Yeah. It's expensive. So what we did was, you know, it was unusual, but we felt like really exposed. You have this thing that cost all this money just sitting on a sloping terrain in Palawan, and you're like, well, what happens if something happens to it? Nothing, just, you know, start again or something. I don't know. So we said we got to get insurance. So the way I did that was, I mentioned earlier in the series that I was talking about using multiple AIs. In 2025 and 2026, AIs are not reliable enough to use just one off. They could give you a wrong answer. So I would get multiple AIs and I would say, which Philippines home insurers have, you know, the least court cases against them for claims. Like some insurance companies just don't want to pay for claims. Basically, they just try to rip you off. And which ones are very hard to deal with in claims. So we were using the like 3 or 4 AI models to get the whole kind of opinion on what the best one was. And I think we chose the best one, at least for our first year. We didn't want to go into research, paralysis. So we chose the best one, and it is a little bit more expensive, but we just didn't feel comfortable having something that's
leaving
uninsured.
the house without insurance.
Hope everything's okay.
Exactly.
That's like the biggest lessons learned from our experience if you're going to be building. And then just to let you all know that we're live now, so you could literally come to the villa for what we think is a pretty reasonable price, and for like really good things that we felt were missing in the Puerto Princesa, like a vacation rental market.
Yeah, so come and check it out, and let us know.
Yeah, just read the ads in there, and if you have any questions, just feel free to message us in the Airbnb app.
Yeah, so when you book, you'll literally direct to us.
Yeah, we're actually there. Yeah. And then we're on VRBO, but it hasn't seemed to get much traction. Yeah.
Yeah, we are mostly Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we just want to update you our long journey of our construction in building our house in Palawan. So it is sometimes you have like the feeling like ups and down, but then you just have to like keep going and keep continue and be positive and we can just like say, hey, we can do this, and let's just finish this project, and later on we'll just think about the house being built and it's beautiful, and then it's it's completely finished.
Exactly. So good luck in all of your projects. We'll be continuing, I think, to give you updates, but more from the operations perspective of the Airbnb, because while we might have a few things that we put into later phases, we just said, let's not deal with this in this current first phase. Let's just, if we want to do some work, if we have some budget later, we'll revisit X, Y, and Z. So,
and we might have some like advices or info for you about Airbnbs and all of that stuff. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
For our next more videos to come.
Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you being part of our journey. So thank you.
Thank you so much again. I'm Aini and Barry.
And I'm Barry.
So we are Ocean Dream Villa now, our channel.
Ocean Dream Villa Palawan.
Yes. Yay.
All right. Take care. See you soon.
Bye.